What are the major differences that you notice between the Alliance school setting and the setting of a traditional school?
I think the main difference at Alliance is everybody makes the commitment to being an accepting place. Even when there are conflicts between people, it's rarely, if ever, a conflict about who somebody is or what they believe or how they dress. Like, you're not going to see bullying for who you are because the whole community has made a commitment not to do that. So if there are any conflicts that have to be resolved, usually it's a relationship issue. It's a friend hurt a friend's feelings and they need to get together and talk about it. It's never that somebody is being harassed for who they are. We are big fans of restorative justice.
Restorative justice. I think I know a few guys who can tell us about that.
Traditionally, when students are having problems in school and break rules, there's a consequence. When students get into a fight or an argument, a disagreement, girl drama, whatever it is, there's a consequence. That consequence is typically that punitive piece of a discipline referral, a phone call home, sending home for the day, suspension, in school, out of school suspension. What restorative justice does is tries to interrupt that negative cycle and actually try to make sense of what the incident was and how the two or more people involved in the incident really impacted one another. Instead of the punitive piece where you're sent home and there's no learning, restorative justice aims to get at that learning piece, and understanding piece. So it's kind of like mediation, but the goal in restorative justice is to restore the wrong that was done and then be able to move forward.
For me, restorative justice is about, instead of just punishing, it's about trying to get to the root of whatever the problem is and whatever is causing the conflict between two or more people. I participated in one particular restorative justice session at the school that a student taught at, where it was actually between a couple of students and me and another faculty member because of these kids had done something really, really stupid. And we were working through that issue. You know, they were kind of, I caught them, so they blamed me for them getting in trouble because I caught them doing the stupid thing. And we kind of had to talk about where I was placed, and it was a safety issue and that sort of thing. So we got around to the point where I could acknowledge that I understood why they were feeling that way, and they could acknowledge that really it was their own fault, and they could see my point of view that I needed to report what was going on with them. And so in my mind, it's a way of getting people to recognize other people's different points of views instead of being so focused on you did something wrong, go sit in a corner or go home for the day or whatever.
One of the things we have is a student-led discipline council, and that changes based on the situation, like who's on the council. But if there's one student who's repeatedly getting in trouble or not coming to school or doing something that harms them or the school community in some way, they go before the discipline council, and the discipline council talks to them, goes over the situations with them, like what are these things that happen and why, and they can give consequences, or they can determine, they can end up mentoring the student. There's a lot of different things they can do to help that student improve his or her behavior. So it's the restorative justice practice. It's saying what's happened, who has been harmed, and what do we need to do to fix it.
Does anything ever come up like students do something they weren't supposed to do and they come to the council, but somebody that they don't like is on the council?
This is why the council changes. So, what I do is I pull together people to be on the council who are people that have relationship with that student in a positive way, and people who don't but are affected by it in some way, but have a positive relationship. It's never people that are having a problem with that student.
Right.
So it's always a different group of students on the discipline council based on what that student needs. So one student might need support from a friend who's there. Another student might need somebody to step up and push them a little harder. Another student might need somebody to watch them in class and write down everything they do and then give them feedback about what they're doing. So that the council changes to meet the needs of the person who is coming before the council. And almost every time a student has come before the council, it's improved their behaviors greatly. We had one student come 2 weeks ago, and he was getting a lot of like green slips. We have little incident referral sheets that a student gets. It's kind of like a little ticket for use of profanity or coming to class really late, things like that. And he was getting tons of them, just all the time. He went to the discipline council, and in the past 2 weeks he hasn't had one. And it really comes from that idea of democratic governance, that the students have to be involved in deciding what happens for the school. So our students vote on everything. Like if a reporter wants to come and do a story on the school, the reporter has to write to the students, and the students read the letter and decide whether or not to let them come. If we want to change a policy in the school, the students get to vote on it. The students can propose changes. Everything is set up so the students are involved in what happens.
So is this like, was I voted on? Like,
I have to say that my weakness is when young people are doing something really amazing, and I'll just say yes and find people to work with it, because I really did admire the project that you were doing and the fact that you were willing to take the time to come all the way here.
yeah.
I said yes without having everybody vote on it. But if you were going to come and you were going to be at the community meeting and in the school building during the day, we would do that. We also use circles all the time. We have advisories every day where we do circles. We have a community meeting like you described once a month where the whole school meets together, and we start with praises, apologies, and connections. And people raise their hand and they stand up and they say, I want to praise so-and-so for helping me with my homework last week. And I want to praise this teacher for giving me a chance. And I want to apologize to so-and-so because I said something mean and I shouldn't have. And it's just really a great way to start the meeting. And then we'll have guest speakers there and activities, things that bring the whole school together.